Now, I just want you to understand that this is a rant, so some of the information is what I've came across versus what's there. Now, I don't want to hear any more people sit there and try to tell me that the comic book industry is booming. They're higher than ever. What are you talking about? No, you're wrong. The end. The facts don't lie. Now we have comixology, which after they changed it, I don't really like digital comics that much, but I do tolerate them for my own personal. Like sometimes I'll get them because maybe it's hard for me to get a book. So I have done that before. I do have some digital comics because I just can't get the print until I can get the print. So Amazon and a lot of streaming services, don't get me wrong. This isn't just the comics, but my focus is on the comics because if comics were doing well, comixology wouldn't be getting gutted. The end. There is no argument. If they were doing their job, and because there are so many people like, yeah, these sales aren't happening, but the digital sales, no. Okay? No. Because if the digital sales were doing great, then you wouldn't be seeing it where now comixology seems to be the last major digital platform for comics. There would be a multitude of them. Now, admittedly, I'm starting to see this pattern that when you take your baby, your little project, comixology, Dungeons and Dragons, and you sell them to these corporations bastardize them and destroy them. Be with greed and politics. Now, I know there's people like, oh my God, I'm so sick of hearing the politics. Well, here's the problem. You have a bunch of people who don't even know the numbers that are working on these things. I've talked to creators before. I've asked them, hey, do you know how much your sales were? No. Now, they're not going to admit that if I had them on an interview or something. But I've talked to them at conventions and things and actually literally had sit-down conversations with different people. It was actually before my channel. I haven't really gone to any conventions since I've started the channel because, from when I started it and stuff. And then we had the big bug happen. But I've talked to people. Comic book shop owners. I've talked to when they've had people there and they were creators and I could get a sit down with them. And it's wild. I've talked to actors before and all these people. And it's wild how much politics play a stupid role in a lot of these bad decisions. And how they're worried about, and some of them, you'll see them on Twitter and Instagram and all that, and they're sitting there worried about like what Ethan Van Sciver is doing. Don't worry about what Ethan Van Sciver is doing. His freaking book is super duper late. It should have been out about a year, maybe 2 years ago. But he's constantly churning out new stuff. Now, it's my personal choice that I stopped backing those things because of the fact of that. But I also buy a lot of stuff off of Kickstarter. I also buy a lot of stuff from other people. You know why? Because I don't care who you voted for. America. That's the beauty of it. You get to choose who you vote for. I'm not going to condemn you for that. And the problem is we have lost sight of that. We have lost sight of the fact that people are getting so hyper political and when both sides are trash that they're just trying to destroy each other. The Mindy Kaling thing. All of a sudden, now that now people are swearing she's a conservative, and now they're swearing that she's terrible, and, because Velma was hot garbage, and it really said a lot about her. Now all of a sudden they're bringing up things from the past that was problematic. But you let it go before because she had the right politics. And this is the problem with the industry. I personally see it. Now, people keep saying the industry's doing great. Okay, take out Scholastic, take out manga. Stop putting your thoughts of, well, no, they're good. No, take out Scholastic numbers, take out manga numbers, and really see how they're doing. Floppies are doing bad. You can't live off of selling comics anymore. There's a lot of backstabbing in the industry. A lot of people, and I've talked to a few, they're still waiting on money from work they've done from 2 years ago. And what's happening is, the reason why you're starting to really see the chickens come home to roost right now in a lot of comic book industry stuff, like Aftershock going into chapter 11, that's a restructuring of business if anybody doesn't know. I heard Valiant might be on the bubble they're trying to sell because they're not doing well. And this is the problem. People keep going, well, indie comics are going to take over. Well, no, that's going to turn into a very niche market. A lot of people are not going to be able to survive off of that. We are always going to have Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, the X-Men, Wonder Woman, Fantastic Four in some way, shape, or form. We're always going to have them. But it may be different. And it's sad to say, even though people are like, oh, they're going to close. DC Comics doesn't exist anymore. Now it's just DC. Because they're trying to brand themselves differently when it really comes down to it's that they don't want to be known as just a comic book company anymore. Even though that should be their bread and butter. We are dealing with an imploding industry and people not even knowing how their sales are doing. And I'm seeing more and more and more creators, artists, writers, waiting on money from work. Why? Because those PPP loans that the government gave out to protect those paychecks, that money has ran out. So what's happening is that reality is starting to walk in the room. And what it comes down to is that comics are doing bad. People need to accept it. That doesn't mean the industry is dead, doesn't mean it's dying, but could you say it may be on some life support? Yeah. And it is because I'm not one of those people that sits there and think everything Marvel and DC does is trash. One of the biggest issues is that if you start to look at the sales numbers, they're not good. Some of them are not even Batman's starting to suffer because DC keeps making Batman book after Batman book after Batman book. And after a while, people are going to get tired of it because same with the X-Men, like thousands and thousands. People don't have all that liquid money anymore. Eggs are $8 for some people. Milk is like $4. Like, people need to make decisions. You need to make the value affordable. Once again, does that mean everything is bad? No. Look, I'm excited for Photon. But when it comes to a lot of books now, I don't always get the floppies. My floppies have gone down. But Marvel, DC, and I get like Savage Dragon, stuff like that. And I get the books that I really, really like. And even Photon. And with a good writer, by the way, I still was a little bit worried. So I got to a point, I was like, you know what? I'll get the trade Photon. I'll see how it is. Like, I'll follow the story for when people review it and stuff like that I trust. Or people that go through the stories. And they kind of do like a story time thing like some channels do. Like Blurred, Without Fear, and Comics Explained. And Benny from Comixtorian. I like when they do that because it gives me a nice preview to the book. So, and I also like when, like, how they explain it too. Like, Benny tells it like story time. You got Comics Explained that kind of, he tells you from his perspective. He tells you about the story, but he also tells you how he feels and what he thinks, and and gives you a little bit of history lessons. And Blurred Without Fear tells you a story, but he kind of talks about it too. But hey, he has a different approach where he, like, Comics Explained doesn't really go into this stuff. Blurred makes, snide comments and things about people who have problems with a lot of stuff that's going on, like the Punisher, and how they're ruining that character. But he's like, well, people didn't read it anyway. And I'm like, that doesn't mean people don't always love the character. They still cannot like what's going on. But I digress. Even I curtail how I do it, where I was like, I'm excited about Photon. I think that character is a great character. I think they got a great writer and all that. But that's hard. And Marvel's not getting their top creators and stuff like that. And a lot of people in the industry are coming at people after you ran them out the industry with your secret meetings and your waste of time. Instead of writing a good story, you're too busy being on Twitter and telling people who to vote for. And if they don't vote for me, don't buy my comic. And all this other garbage. And it's like, what are we doing here? Make your book, sell your book. That's why people were so excited. I saw so many people excited about hashtag pencils down. It was crazy. And now you have a bunch of people who worked at comixology that now lose their jobs. And that freaking sucks. I can't freaking stand the fact that the industry has turned into this way. I fell in love with comics as a kid. They connected with me in such a way that it stuck to me. It shaped me. It shaped part of who I am today. And to watch this industry self-implode because they're too busy worrying about the orange man or too busy worrying about the old crepit man. Stop worrying about the politics and write some good comic stories. Stop writing characters, for example, that are bisexual, like like they're all the same character. You make like some characters that are gay are going to be flamboyant. But it's like they're writing these characters, they're writing these things, and you read the comic, and instead of them remembering, hey, Iceman is a superhero, since you wanted to do that stupid thing to make him gay. Okay, now he's always worried about his boyfriend, and I'm like, what? Or like what relationship he's going to be in, or who's he going to date. I'm like, well, that could be a part of the story, but that's not who the character is. Like, these are the problems. They're writing these caricatures, and they're writing these things, and they're writing these stories where all the characters are doing is eating or talking all the time. I'm not saying characters should eat sometimes. It's fine. But it's like they're always eating. They're all like, it's all these weird things, and I'm like, and you expect people to buy this? Do better. I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but I can read the effort. I seen and got to check out Photon #1. That's how you do a freaking comic. Adventure. You set it up. You're going, and then you jump into it. All I know is that comics are not doing well. And here's the bad part. People keep going, well, Marvel and DC are dying. They're not dying. Their amount of money that they bring to the company is so minuscule. They're IP farms, guys and gals. Like, you need to understand this, everyone. They're IP farms. Marvel and DC don't need to sell for crap. They just need something to have a little bit of buzz so they can take it and put it on to the thing that really makes their money, which is their movies and stuff, even though Phase 4 has been 99% garbage. That's what they're using them for. So, what Marvel and DC not doing well, not drumming up business to get people's eyes onto other stories and stuff, what's happening is that it's starting to hurt the lessers. Aftershock is a pretty good company. I haven't even heard nothing from Red Circle. Like, there's so many indie comics that I feel like are suffering because of this. It's crazy. And the fact that I've seen creators talk about it, I've talked to a couple myself, not going to name names, but I've talked to a couple before and mentioned it, and they're mentioning it, and the fact that the money is drying up and they're not getting paid for work, well, they got to eat. So what's going to happen is that you can't live off of a comic book salary unless you're like a top tier person like a Donny Cates. Like Eric July, what he did, and I barely knew about his comic book, for example. But that thing, 3 million, blew up like gangbusters. And instead of people giving him his flowers, as the term goes nowadays, that's the popular term, they were trying to bury him. You should be celebrating him. That is a black man with his own business, and within a week or two is a multi-million-dollar business. That should be celebrated. But the people who do, if I remember correctly, I think are the ones who do Black Sands or Dark Sands or whatever, like, they were hating on him. And then other people started hating on it. Oh, well, if you buy from him, you're a bad person. You vote for Orange Man. What? Why don't you celebrate him and then go and do it? And I made a video a while ago where I said this. If you want these comics gay guys and these people to stop, your best thing you can do is outsell them, outperform them. Get the eyes on you. And not because you did some weird SJW woke thing, or not because you did some hyper-political anti-alt-right thing, or you're alt-right now, or this. That stuff needs to go away. It is now time for creators to stop worrying about who you voted for, stop worrying about all this stuff, buckle down, and realize that the way the industry is going, there's only so many spots you can get that guaranteed job or guaranteed paycheck from Marvel and DC, and every other company is not paying people the way they should be. That's right, Dawn, you tell them. So we live in this world now. If you're a creator and you're listening to me, because I am going to start reviewing comics that I have, good, bad, or indifferent. Mainly trades. I'm not going to really do floppies. That's just, I don't get enough floppies that I feel like is worth it. And sometimes by the time I read them a certain way, like when I'm in a relaxed mode, that to put them on there, by the time I would put them up, it would be weeks away. So it's better if I do the whole just trade. But there's some indie comics I'm going to talk about, and that are awesome. One of them, I even said something to one of the people that worked on it. They're waiting, and it's been a year or so, but I had a lot of life changes. I moved, so I'm still putting the place together. Oh well, it takes me a while, but yeah, like they're excited because their book was awesome. So I'm going to make sure they know about it. And I'm going to do different books too because people, by the way, just before anyone says it, yes, I back Cyberfrog, and yes, I go to Indiegogo. Guess what? I also back a lot of Kickstarter stuff too. Which you'll find out. You know why? Because I don't care about people who they voted for. Because that's stupid. I got other things to worry about in life. Then, did you vote for the person I voted for? So, what I need the industry to do, and this is in closing, glow up, grow up, let go of your stupid politics and what you want. And now is the time that you go and you do your thing on, I don't care if it's Kickstarter, Indiegogo, that other joint that was supposed to do well with comics is not now. I can't remember what it's called. But a lot of people, Substack, even though I think they're not doing well anymore. I don't know. I haven't kept up, but I heard they're not doing as hot as they thought they were. But it doesn't matter. Find your place. If you got to do indies, do indies. Promote yourself. Marvel and DC do a trailer here or there, and that's about it. Promote yourself on social media. Instead of talking about, well, I don't like that you voted for Trump, and Trump is the worst, or I think it's stupid that you voted for Biden, and Biden is an old creep. Like, drop that. Kill that noise. Start focusing on your projects. Start promoting your projects. Let's see if you're as good as you think you are by the merit that keeps you up. By your own merit, by your own sales, by your own thing, because that's your money and how you do it. So let's stop fooling ourselves and trying to say the comic industry is in a great position. It's not. If it was, comixology would be here. And like I said, I'm not knocking the fact that these streaming services and a lot of these big corporations didn't have anything to do with it because they're pretty bad themselves with all their stupid messaging and terrible programming. Like how Velma got a season 2, but other great shows on Amazon like Daybreak didn't. So yeah, the zombie show. So all I'm saying is, what you may need to do is you need to turn around as a creator, especially if you're not getting paid. Start going the indie route. Start going that crowdfunding route. But also what you need to do too, don't worry anymore about what is happening with these other creators that you don't agree with politically, that you 9 times out of 10 went to your little secret meetings that you had and ousted them out of the industry with your blacklist stuff that y'all act like doesn't exist, even though the evidence has come out that you put people on a list and you're doing a bunch of stuff, and it is what it is. It's time to start getting it together. It's time to save the industry that I have loved all my life, that people have loved for years. And these other companies need to be alive. Things with erratic and stuff. We're getting these beautiful comics like that. We need these comics. So if Marvel and DC can't do it, you creators can save the industry yourself. If you stop worrying about the stuff, realize that this person is your peer just because of one aspect of their life, that you all can build this up. You can drum this together as a group. And I'm not saying you have to work with the people you don't like, but respect their work. Be like, yo, man, congratulations. You know, you still a jerk, but you know what? You kind of killed it with that crowdfunding. Let me see what I can do. And that's all it takes. Because no one's out here to save you anymore. These other lower companies aren't paying people now because they're hurting for money themselves because the sales are not there. And I hate to say it, but it starts with Marvel and DC not doing the job the way they should be. They should be... With the industry, you get people in the comic shops. You know how many comic shops that I've ran into that are now closed? Fat Jacks in Philadelphia needs a GoFundMe. There was a comic shop called Panther Comics that I actually like going to. They had some cool toys and things in there. They were just closed. And they never reopened. Like the pandemic, they were like closed. They were saying they were going to close down for a little while. Then the pandemic hit and they were like, they're done. Because it's unsustainable. My main comic book shop, the guy flat out told me that this was one of the worst years he's ever had on sales. People weren't coming in the store. I'm in the store. It's near the holidays. And he has sales going on. And I saw 1, 2 people in there. So this industry needs a shot of adrenaline. And what it needs to do is it needs to realize who they are, where they are, and step up. creators, it's time for you to step up and grow up and get it together. Geek protagonists, you stay safe, you stay healthy, you stay real.